Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another session of Forrester's Focus on Operational Excellence. I'm your host, Tracy Forrester, and for today's session, we're going to show you some pointers about how to properly get to the root cause of a problem. And some of the items we'll review in this video include what is a root cause categories, process steps for conducting a root cause analysis, conducting a 5 why analysis, 5 why analysis and a reverse logic test with an example of good linearity, and 5 why analysis and reverse logic test with an example of bad linearity, and does my root cause make sense? And what is a root cause? A root cause is a cause that, if altered or removed, would have either eliminated or substantially altered the outcome. For categories of root causes, there are three primary categories that we're going to get into today. And all corrective actions are going to fall into one of these categories. The first one being the why made or specific category is the root cause that is really about why a nonconformance occurred. Okay, it is the identification of a change point typically, but we're really talking about why made. Why did the defect occur? And the second category is why shift or detection category. And this is all about how that nonconformance got past the point that it was produced. It may have been caught internally, maybe in a subsequent operation, maybe not until it got to the customer, but when it left that area where it was produced, that process where it was produced, it became also a problem with detection. And the third category we'll talk about is why the system failed, or systemic corrective action, which is really about the management systems that would govern the processes for one of the previous two categories. So it could either be about why made or about why shift. And those are the three primary categories of root causes. For process steps for conducting a root cause analysis, here are 8 simple steps that you can follow to make sure that you're on the right track with getting to the root cause. The first step, review the problem statement. Don't forget to do this with the team. Remember, it provides some scope and some boundaries around the problem that we're trying to solve. Review the relevant data and information, any information about the problem. A lot of it may, at this point, be symptoms or any information that was collected during the initial stages of the investigation. Step 3, go to the process. This is an extremely important step that often gets overlooked because people like to solve problems in offices and conference rooms. But the problem is really going to be solved with information that comes from the process and from the people who are the experts of the process. And if you go and observe the process, you understand how the material flows, the process steps, the process layouts, etc. It'll help a lot with your problem-solving efforts. Step 4, interview the process experts. Again, the experts are the process users, the operators, the process engineers, the folks who live with the process every day. They know how it's supposed to work, and they know exactly how it is working currently, and maybe even how it was working on a particular recent date and time when this event took place. Number 5, brainstorming. Identify as many possible and potential causes as you can. And there is a full process to doing brainstorming, but it's a key part of the overall root cause analysis process. Number 6, fishbone diagram. At this point, we're going to take everything that we gained from the brainstorming session and we're going to organize it on the fishbone diagram, and just to try to get it organized and visible. And from there, we're going to use, if needed, some kind of multi-voting or nominal group technique to try to determine which of the many issues that are populated on the fishbone diagram are the most likely issues. And once the team has determined the most likely issues or issue, From there, the team is going to conduct a 5 why analysis to determine the most likely root cause. And once the team has that, going to again return to the process, take the root cause that the team came up with, and again observe the process and try to recognize whether or not it makes sense relative to what you're seeing in the process. And again, an important step, definitely involve the operators and go to the process. The quote from Taiichi Ono: ask why 5 times about every matter. And if you remember, Taiichi Ono was the architect of the Toyota production system. And what he's talking about is just basically an average number of times that it takes to get to the end of a 5 why analysis. And for steps in completing the 5 why analysis, remember the following 4 steps. Take the top potential cause from the fishbone diagram or the nominal group technique exercise if you use that, and just write it at the top of a whiteboard or a flip chart. Read the top line and ask the first why. From there, you're going to write in succession responses to the whys for each answer. So you're going to write the answer below the first why, and you're going to ask the second why, and you're just going to keep going till it no longer makes sense to do this. And you're not really going to know that until you get to the end, and it's just not going to make sense anymore. And it's just something that comes with experience, and it takes some time to get there. But once you're somewhere between 4 and 8, you're pretty sure that you're going to be at the end. It doesn't have to be right at 5. Could be more, could be less. And 5, again, was just an average number that was mentioned by Mr. Ono. And as we look at a 5 why analysis with a reverse logic test, we'll take a quick look at what the 5 why analysis should look like, how it should flow, and then we'll apply a simple test to it to make sure that it's linear. And this particular 5 why analysis came from a fable, I believe from Ben Franklin, and I believe the name was The Kingdom and the Nail. And as we go through this, you'll see that it's quite linear. And we'll just go through it. And again, the key is that we're going to start at the top with the issue that we're focused on, and then we're just going to ask why in succession until we get to the end, or until we get to a place where we believe it no longer makes sense to continue to ask why. So we lost the kingdom. Why? Because we lost the battle. Why did we lose the battle? Because we had one less warrior. Why did we have one less warrior? Because we had one less horse. Why did we have one less horse? Because the horse lost a shoe. Why? Because there weren't enough nails. And as I look at this, all I've got to do to check the linearity, if it isn't real clear already, is to just take that last item, which is not enough nails. I'm going to turn around and create a series of declarative statements using therefore, and transition back to the top from the bottom. So starting with not enough nails, therefore the horse lost a shoe, therefore there was one less horse, therefore one less warrior, therefore we lost the battle, therefore we lost the kingdom. So as you can see, it transitioned very smoothly. There wasn't a lot of difficulty in flow going from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. And now we'll go ahead and take a look at a 5 why analysis in reverse logic for a case with poor linearity. And this happens to be an actual example of a 5 why analysis that was actually presented to me in the past. And I'll go ahead and share this, and you'll see what I'm looking at when I talk about poor linearity. So we start at the top with the specific issue or the occurrence, and they've got listed parts out of spec. Kind of vague and generic, but that's what is listed here. And from there, start asking why. And the first why are parts out of spec? The tool broke. Why did the tool break? The operator didn't properly inspect the parts. Why didn't the operator properly inspect the parts? The machine was crashed and was not reset properly. Why is that? Well, the gauge was missing. Why was the gauge missing? The operator was new and not properly trained. Okay, so if I just want to check the linearity real quickly on this, I'm going to again take that last answer to why. The operator was new and not properly trained. And I'm going to just ask, again, I'm going to create statements using therefore, going back to the top of this, and see if I can smoothly transition all the way back up to parts out of spec. So the operator was new and not properly trained. Therefore, the gauge was missing. Therefore, the machine was crashed and not properly reset. Therefore, the operator didn't properly inspect the parts, and therefore the tool broke, and therefore the parts were out of spec. And clearly, nothing smooth about that transition. It's not logical. It doesn't flow right. It's definitely not linear. And it's just interesting that they went through this exercise to pretty much populate the Y's in a 5Y, end up with operator was new and not trained. So you're going to end up basically with operator error as your root cause. The corrective action will be something like retrained operator. But this whole 5Y analysis was populated to get to the end. Maybe some of those things are true. Maybe they were all part of what was going on in that process. But we still don't really know why. We don't know why the tool broke, why all of these things happen. And by the way, we're actually combining a couple of the different categories. We talked about the why made category. Maybe that's related to the tool broke. We talked about the why not detected category, which may have something to do with not properly inspecting parts or gauge missing. But there's a whole lot going on here, but it's definitely not linear. It's not a great or even a good 5Y analysis. I wouldn't accept this. I would reject it. And I would know pretty certainly that any corrective action taken against this root cause would also be flawed. Does my root cause make sense? The following list contains questions you can ask for a sanity check about your root causes that you've come up with at this point. And starting with number 1, does the root cause align with the definition for root cause that we showed earlier in the video? Remember, that was a cause if altered or removed would have either eliminated or substantially altered the outcome. And number 2, would the event have occurred if this cause had not been present? And number 3, will the problem recur if this cause is corrected or eliminated? And number 4, does the root cause align with the problem statement? And again, this is just comparing the root cause to the problem statement and doing a quick check of, hey, does this root cause make sense given what we said the problem was? Is it aligned? Is it closely match what we were trying to solve in the first place? And number 5, does the root cause pass the linearity test, which we went over with examples of both good and bad in a few slides ago? And this concludes another exciting session of Forrester's Focus on Operational Excellence. Thank you for watching. If you like the video and want to see more from us and from the book, go ahead and help us out by doing the following. Please hit the like button, click on the subscribe button to subscribe to our YouTube channel, tell your friends about us, and check back for more videos. And if you're interested in the book, you can purchase it on Amazon.com.